I will deposit no less than 1 dairy truck's worth of semen inside of that Polish womb.
Oh my God.
I hate how this is slowly becoming a new catchphrase. You're the cum truck guy.
So this week we are going to be talking about AI and how AI is actually like the greatest invention ever. I'm a huge fan of the Terminator movies. I've always rooted for Skynet. And now that I see that Skynet is slowly winning, the good guys finally have one.
Have you seen the new Mission Impossible movie?
I have not.
Okay, because the villain is basically like a Skynet. Yeah.
But so our guest for this week is another returning face. You guys can't see him until we finally start recording video as well as like open
I don't
up
know
our
if they want to
Patreon.
though.
It's fine. You can get some pretty spicy pre-pod content or post-pod. I don't know. We'll figure that out. Yeah, we'll figure that out when we get there. But seriously, so one of the main factors that has kind of started the conversation, especially in entertainment, about about the labor strikes has been the usage of AI and how that is slowly deteriorating the labor force in many different sectors of the American economy.
Yeah.
And our friend Ralph is currently working as a data analyst.
Data analyst, business intelligence developer.
Okay.
Pretty much.
So working on the software engineering side of within healthcare. And we felt as though it would be good to have someone that is not as brain dead as the two of us here to have this conversation. We have been bringing on a lot more people that are a lot more knowledgeable than the two of us for these more serious episodes. Mainly because we don't want to give a bunch of misinformation and just like be totally schizophrenic and like reactionary about AI. Or like any of these other
topic,
these other topics.
Right.
But I guess I'm going to open this up with something very, very concerning that I recently found out. So it may seem very, very niche in the realm of real estate appraisal. So for background, I worked with a real estate appraisal company for a year, doing marketing work for them. But something that I found out was that a lot of banks are currently funneling a bunch of money into AI development in order to automate home real estate appraisals.
Yes. Okay.
And so to kind of give you a background on like the process that it takes for you to become a licensed real estate appraiser, you have to essentially gain an apprenticeship with a working appraiser and have to fulfill, I believe it's like 1,500. It's either 1,000 or 1,500 hours of shadow work before you're even allowed to like touch a home appraisal. At this current point in time, you also have to have access to all of the MLSs, which is basically like the real estate listing databases that you would have to pay for, so that you can see what the average home value in certain counties or in certain areas of the city are.
Yes.
And you would have to have a very deep understanding of the real estate market and all of the trends within an area for you to be able to complete an appraisal report.
Yes.
So we're talking about an individual that has to go through 1,000 to 1,500 hours of training before they can even take their first paid first paid job. And then on top of that, they are also liable for undervaluing a home. So if you
during the training,
no, like after.
Once they
So it's like so there is someone that is legally accountable for whether your home value is lower or not. So in some cases, the home appraisal value has a lot. It's very, very important because for some homes, you are automatically signed on to an insurance policy where I believe like the yearly payment is around $14,000. And in order for you to gain the ability to drop that insurance policy, your home has to be appraised at like a certain dollar value.
Right.
And if it is below that value, you have to continue paying your mortgage, your home insurance, and this bank's insurance. And that insurance policy is automatically attached to the home by the bank.
Okay.
So
okay.
essentially, the bank is forcing an insurance policy upon you, and unless your home is worth a certain amount of money, you cannot get that insurance removed, and you will have to pay that money to the bank.
And then what they're working on is an AI that determines what that value is to see if you qualify to not have to pay that.
Well, not just that. It's
Right.
It's a matter of, so if a real estate appraiser fucks up a home value, you can sue the appraiser. Like
As the homeowner?
Yeah, it's like if it's like if the value is super off compared to the market trends of an area, you have the legal ability to sue the appraiser that worked on your report. There is someone
Right.
being held accountable at all points
Right.
in the process. What they're trying to do right now, specifically with like JP Morgan, Huntington, Wells Fargo, is they are introducing AI to automate all of these home appraisals.
Okay.
So without AI regulation, just as a whole, these banks can do whatever the fuck they want with the AI. Like just from simply explaining the process, because I haven't done enough research to be able to give you more information on like.
Oh, okay. Because I did have a question, specifically because ultimately you need the data in order to train the AI models. So how are they getting? Because you still need either you need somebody to gather that data, or that data is already there in the database.
Yeah. So it's because like home appraisals as a whole is a very subjective thing, because you have to take in a bunch of different factors to determine where like to determine the value of a home. Specifically, like where on the street your house is. So if you're facing a main street, that lowers the value. If you're in the middle of a cul-de-sac, that might also lower the value.
Yeah.
Things of that sort, right? So taking away the human element of that, and all you're now working with is essentially MLS data.
Yeah.
So you could, realistically, you can program an AI to take the address of the home, map it,
Yeah.
locate where the home is, and then do a general search on an MLS to see where all the homes around that are, and then you can probably find a median value.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Like that's the simplest way that I can think about it right now without like sitting down and really thinking about the algorithms. But the issue here is that without the regulations of a federal government or a governing body, what is to stop a bank from putting in another input where it's like, if it's from this borrower, so if it's from this LLC, up the value by 10%. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I know immediately once you I started to get it. Yeah. No, it is a problem that is a general problem with just AI in general.
Yes.
Is unless if you want to continue.
No, you can go ahead.
Okay.
You can go ahead.
Cuz like the biggest issue with AI in our current economic and societal situation is the data that's being used to train these models. And proper AI models need to use a lot of data. And generally, you want to, like, when you're creating it, you want to make sure that the data is as clean and as accurate as possible. But the nature of data just in our world is that it's messy. And then on top of that, like, there's a lot of human error when it comes to gathering that data. And there's a lot of human biases that exist in that data. So, what you were saying, if the banks can put in a feature or a variable that says, okay, if they're from this, then lower it by this. And the thing is, the banks don't need to, the banks just need to add that field, and they don't even need to like label it.
Because the reality is it's all going to be proprietary software.
Yeah,
it's not like it's going to be open source where any coder can open it up and just be like, oh yeah, I found it. This shit's fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the issue further from that is, and I think this is something that goes beyond just that and goes into, the art AIs, the chat GPTs, the issue with, marketing data, how like there, like, Facebook was like buying or selling people's browsing data and like that sort of thing. Like that's being used in AI models to give ads to people. That's part of like the marketing. That's how like marketing's using AI in that sense. And so the issue is, okay, who owns the data that's being used to train these models? And where does that data belong? And I think that's something that the government needs to figure out first, because then from that will follow the models, then the model trainers to be like, okay, we need to pay for this data, and who actually owns it is what we're getting it from. Like rather getting it from Facebook or getting it from, the person whose data it is, or getting it from, if it's somebody's home, or if it's, is it coming from the bank, or is it coming from the real estate companies, whatever, like where the data, who owns the data is like the next, I guess, big arms race, in the sense of, as we are using more AI and more generative models and that sort of thing, whoever owns the data is going to own they're going to be able to own the models too. Like they can control, ultimately the models, they're just just
lines of code.
Yeah, they're just
lines of codes.
Yeah, they don't necessarily do the damage, so to speak. The big damage comes from the data itself.
Yeah.
And like I can see how trying to determine what that is could really fuck with that sort of power structure, because let's say in the case of like the AI art stuff, it's just like whoever like is the original poster, or like whoever creates the data, whatever. All these sites that have you register for, the mailing list and stuff like that, they state what data they are looking for and like what they want you to enter. If you enter it, but they were the ones that determined the field, then it's their data or something.
Yeah.
That like that could be a potential way. Like if you're too broad with defining who owns what data and whatever, that's a very easy way to get shit really fucked up.
Yeah, exactly.
This is so to kind of round out my portion of this podcast, and the reason why it's like so infuriating that this is happening is that this is an institution that in recent years has crashed the global economy because people wanted to make 8% more profit on home sales. But also just from a social standpoint, like this is an institution that has historically oppressed ethnic minorities. Like redlining is a thing that existed that like economics classes teach. These are the same, the people that are now fucking with more real estate things were the same group of people that determined or that basically enacted legal segregation in this country for the past 70 years. And without the regulation and without actual like functioning government intervention, like this could be absolutely catastrophic to an already failing real estate economy in this country.
And going beyond that, I think part of it is a lot of these banks have a lot of historical data on like, and specifically with like loans they've approved, and like even going outside of like real estate, you can go in like business loans and student loans and all these other things. Like they've been using like AI to sort of do the approvals and denials of certain loans. And if you're going off of historical data, that data is already fucked up. Because you have this like with
redlining, it was collected originally, and everything.
It's like the entire field of study of economics and statistics. Like both of those fields are like inherently racist. Inherently racist.
It is. Yeah, it is.
And we have given so much more credence to those two fields of studies because, like I said in the education episode that hasn't aired yet, everything that we want. Or everything that the people in power want has to fit in these neat little boxes. And what is easier than just labeling something with a number? Like there's nothing.
There's too many numbers. You got to go smaller than that.
It's so much harder for you to sit down and really analyze an individual or anything like that. So the cost cutting or the time saving measures that all of these corporations want to do is just to slap a number on something and be like, yeah, this is our means testing.
Yeah.
And giving this institution that has historically done so much damage to the global economy, as well as just like put into like civilians into just like the worst economic positions of all time without any ramifications, them being able to have this power again is absolutely fucking terrifying. And I know that's like quite reactionary because none of it is at a point now where it's capable of being used. But just knowing that this is where money that we put into the banks, because they are using our money to do this.
Yeah.
Like that is terrifying.
Pop the bubble. Pop the bubble. Pop the bubble.
Going back to it, I think the way that I guess we need to focus as if we want the governments to focus on a specific aspect of it, definitely should be, making sure that the data is owned by who it should be owned, like whose data it is. That's who should own it. Number one. Number two, it should be under the same process that most like medical devices and other things. Like the project that I was working on, I don't know if I can get into like specifics.
Violate the NDAs, bro.
Well, I essentially I had to go, like as a company, we had to go through the process of getting grant funding and also a patent on the models that we were building and using.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to and because, it's being used in a medical field, you need to go through a lot of rigorous testing to make sure that it's, actually good. And like, between the FDA and other governmental organizations, which I guess is a whole other story, but I do think that, whatever financial regulators we have, they need to be more vigilant on those things. They need you're basically building a machine that is going to take in this data and spit out a judgment, essentially.
Yeah.
And so you need to be able to regulate that because all these other things are regulated. And that has the potential to do a lot more financial, economic, and sociological damage than the other things.
Yeah. So my biggest issue with the idea of the regulation aspect of this is that it's like we are expecting essentially like six piglets inside of a long trench coat to make these decisions because that is as educated as they are.
Yeah.
And like. The problem here is who do you go to be on a board to determine how to regulate AI and like how do you regulate data? How to obtain data, right? Because the people that want those positions are all data perverts. They don't care about the quality of the data. They just care about the quantity.
Yeah, exactly. Just like more data is better. More data is better. I'm like. Yeah, and I think the people
it's like, listen, man, if you want to know what my porn search history is, ask me.
Yeah, exactly. You just,
make my For You page better.
Yeah, and I do think that's a problem with like just regulatory bodies in general is that you tend to have people that have a vested interest in a specific aspect of what they're trying to regulate. And
that's almost like the point.
Yeah. And I do think this episode is going to go less into like the specifics of AI, more of just like how the structure of our government and the structure of our economy is not conducive to a proper and ethical use of AI. I mean, frankly, it's not constructed to a proper ethical use of just about anything.
Yeah. So I'm sure that I've said this on this podcast before, but the automation of anything in this country without proper socialization of wealth, without creating an actual functioning social welfare net, would literally destroy this country.
Yeah, it would, absolutely would.
Literally, everybody would just be on some Skid Row shit. Like that is where we would be at.
Mm-hmm.
What can you do when it's
because people don't want to work anymore.
Yeah.
That's where it
no,
all
you're
comes
you're not
from.
wrong.
No, you're not wrong.
Like, yeah, we don't want to work anymore.
Yeah, because well, yeah, you get to the like to take that to its next logical step. I think is the AI is empowering folks to be more efficient at their jobs and basically to eliminate certain positions entirely.
Yeah.
And usually, what that means is that with the increase in productivity, that either wages would go up or that the time commitment to work would decrease. Like, you wouldn't need to work so many
And
hours to get the same amount
you
of work
could
done.
hire more people.
Yeah, and you
Well,
hire,
it's like this, right? We completely changed the type of economy that our country ran on. We had production in this country, and then Bill
and
Clinton
then we switched
came
to
in.
service. Yeah,
Bill Clinton came in and just went, learn how to code, right? Like he did a NAFTA, and then like everybody just fucking died. And then now that we have a service industry, we're finding more and more ways to essentially take those jobs away from people, where you were able to build a relatively stable life. At this point, it's not so much with a lot of those make work jobs. And now you are forcing the people that you have sold this false bill of goods to start doing gig work.
yeah.
Now instead of being like, okay, you can go into an office after you've graduated college, get a pretty decent paying job, and no, now you're just like a rideshare service guy.
Yeah.
You're an uninsured, underpaid, undervalued food delivery service person.
Mhm.
And the more money that we pump into AI research, the more likely that is what every single individual in this country is going to have to resort to.
Yeah.
Going back to like the data collection that sort of comes with all of that too. It's one of those things where we should have known the whole road and the whole system was going to be fucked the second that it's been a thing for longer than AI's been around, but like the whole idea of when people started asking the question, who does the image and likeness of a person belong to? It's like the person. This isn't a question. There should never be any
The
sort of
answer is
situation.
paramount.
It should never be a question. The second
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
a question is when you should know that there's an issue.
Yeah.
And what's scary with it is, that's why, we've talked about it already, but that's why SAG is striking, because these studios like Paramount want to own the image and likeness of all these background actors in permanence for the cost of half a day's wage. And what's terrifying is even if you were to make the system like, no, you know what, the people own their image, blah blah blah. It would only be a matter of time before companies are like, hey, we'll like buy all of your data for so and so a price, and people turn that into a side hustle, and whoever like sells more of their data has more money, and it becomes, I don't even know what the end result of that is. But the idea of that even being a thing, if we were to try to legislate this thing to try to empower all the normal people to be like, no, you own who you are,
your image and likeness,
because
are
now
owned by
we need
you.
to like literally say that and put it in law. It's horrifying.
Even beyond that, after somebody dies, their image and likeness is they're like, you need to, like, everybody then officially has to have an estate.
I think that this opens it, like specifically with that that side of the conversation, that opens up the room for a conversation regarding IP and intellectual property laws inside of this country, and how it has like just stunted innovation in the medical field, and in other ways, and in other ways, like just destroyed our understanding of like image and likeness and all of this. Because if you don't legally own your face, and another individual can come in and go, yeah, that's mine now, what in the fuck are we doing? You know?
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Like where are we headed with this? Like, are we trying to, like, what are we trying to do?
Right. And it's just one of those, it's, God, it like the fact that we didn't see
hold
it,
up,
like,
hold up. Let me lick a boot real quick. Now let me lick a boot real quick and make a little teehee funny. So like the other thing that's been happening is that there's like AI usage to write scripts and things of that sort.
Yeah.
All of those cop procedurals on TV are all just basically AI generated at this point. You can give the premise of an episode to any 11th grader and just be like, just write it. They can probably do it.
Or whatever the next Sherlock show is. Because
Yeah.
God knows those never stop either.
So I mean, like, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that teehee funny. Like, just fuck the propaganda shows. Okay, go on.
No. That's absolutely fair. But I do think there's an element of going even further than that with like intellectual property is like when, and I think the first biggest thing is not going to be that. It isn't going to be people's like image and likeness. It is going to be, like open source characters or like like Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh and because once those hit like public domain and like AI is being used to make content surrounding those characters, I think that's going to be the next big step. And is that Disney is going to try to say like Disney's going to either try to re-trademark that, and if not, at least maybe try to own the AI models to produce that, or like anything that like an AI produces is then going to be owned by Disney or something. They'll
create
like
an AI that has the character models for all their intellectual property once it hits the public domain that they will sell to you at some
exorbitant
price.
Yeah. Like you can use it, but you have to use like our model, or you have to use you'd use the Disney AI to create that content.
Yeah, it's like
Disney.
You have to use the Disney AI to create the buff Elsa.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, it'd be so great. Like, imagine Disney makes an AI and it's basically just a glorified source filmmaker. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, the porn that's going to come from that. Oh, baby.
It's
we're in episode.
Yes.
We're like in episode.
Eric, you cannot talk about this.
Are you about to get hard off like Gustav porn? Like what the fuck is happening?
No.
What?
Gustav. Wasn't that his name? The snowman?
Olaf.
Yeesh.
This was your all white people are just the same.
Yeah. That really was really was my oopsie.
No.
Okay, no. Go on. Sorry.
So basically, like, I was a little bit joking, but that is a serious conversation that also needs to happen, especially with AI and likeness. And there has been a use of it to generate porn of real people. People that have not consented to their likeness being used in sexual content. Yeah.
That was literally its first use.
Yeah. I do.
That's why when you bring up Disney, that's the first thing people are going to use that for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that also needs to be regulated to a very heavy extent.
What else is like horrifying? And I don't know if this is just like it's not looking too sci-fi and everything, because we're just crossing into like sci-fi being reality.
We're living in literally a sci-fi dystopian future.
No, we absolutely are.
It's already like starting with like the fucking Andrew Tate trial and shit, where it's like, no, see, that recording is not real. It was AI generated. Like, people in these early stages of these things just being experimental, like, have fun. Don't use this to cheat on your
exams
student thesis
or
and shit.
Mm-hmm.
You're already getting these people to like try to use that as an excuse for their actions. Like, the amount of like how much harder it'll be to like fucking find people accountable for their own actions when all of this stuff is so easily accessible and or just made from the ground up too is terrifying to even consider.
There is a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel, but I don't know how much of a light it is. It could just be, a brightly colored yellow sticker.
It could just be a reflection.
Yeah, it could be a reflection. And actually that's a better thing, because I have seen and I've heard talks about people using AI to combat AI generated content, to sort of use AI to be like, okay, is this AI generated? Is this content AI generated? And then sort of using AI to fight AI in a sense of like that.
Fire with fire.
Yeah,
stuff.
pretty much like
just
that's
the Transformers movies.
Yeah. Surprisingly, I think that's really
yeah. It's just two fire trucks duking it out.
Yeah.
I really wanted to kind of get because I know that you said that you were working on automation and AI stuff with your current place of employment.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of like, how have you been getting your data sets?
And that's the thing.
That's so we might have to beep this entire section.
I don't
okay,
I don't
so-
actually mean like what are the data sets,
No,
but
no,
it's
no.
like what is the research method that I guess kind of like regulates your company's like what's your company's filter for data?
So that depends on the client. Because generally we don't like we basically help build and train the AI models, but we don't handle much of the data collection. They're usually like another. The companies have like, hey, we have all this data and we need to use it, and we're like, we can help with that.
Okay.
That's pretty much it. So the data's already there for the most part.
Okay.
And so it varies by industry, varies by company. Primarily the clients that my company works with are transportation. So like
Okay.
rail companies, some finance companies, some healthcare companies, some state agencies, depending. But those I don't think they use AI. They use like a very specific. The team that I'm on, they tend to focus on like what my team does.
Mhm.
But yeah, so getting the data sets isn't necessarily our purview. We're just like they have the data. Our job is to clean it, put it in, store it, which is a big thing because these data sets are huge, and you can't like store them. Sometimes you can store them like on premises, but you need like a large amount of
you need a
servers to
server.
do it. Yeah, you need a lot of servers to do it. Other times they'll like push it off to a cloud company. The big three: Google, Microsoft, and Amazon. Amazon's I think the one that's like
When
on
did
the upswing.
Amazon get a cloud?
They've
had it for a while.
What
Oh,
are you talking
jeez.
about? AWS, my guy.
Yeah, AWS. They had it before they acquired Twitch, if I remember correctly. Because I think Twitch was being hosted on the Amazon like servers, and then I think Amazon was like, all right, we're big enough, we can just acquire Twitch. Yeah. No, Amazon is huge in the cloud thing. I think like a lot of people are like, oh, they undersell like, sellers on the site. Like that's how they make their money. I don't think that's the case. I think they mostly make their money just on their like cloud services because
Yeah.
they're huge. They're
Yeah.
huge with it right now.
I can't believe I didn't know about it. Because even when you said Microsoft, I was like, I thought it was just OneDrive. I was like, wait a second.
No, Microsoft is Azure,
Azure, yeah.
and then
Oh, what?
yeah.
Azure, yeah. Also, I did want to talk about specifically like a little bit of the math behind it, because the rise of AI, and this will go a little bit into crypto, is I'm sure you guys know about that, like the GPU shortage that happened. That was
Yeah,
that's like
when crypto first popped off and everything. Yeah.
mhm, yeah. So generally, the way the models for AI require a lot of matrix calculations. Like a matrix, like it's like just rows and columns of numbers.
Oh, that's actually what it is. I thought
That
was
is what a
just
matrix.
movie.
No.
Oh, okay.
The mathematical concept of a matrix is just there's like you have a box.
It's Sudoku, but you never see the ends of the box.
Sometimes you can.
Oh, okay.
Well, sometimes you can, but it is like millions and millions of rows.
Yeah.
So
Hard mode.
yeah, hard mode.
I love how you're trying to explain like matrix algebra to this boy. It's incredible. So
I have
so like full disclosure, I like barely passed my matrix algebra class in college.
linear algebra. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And I stopped in like a month of pre-calc.
Linear sucked.
It's not easy. It's not easy,
Linear
which is
stuff.
why we have computers to do all the math for us.
Yeah.
And from that, and so in order to process it, you need to have the hardware structured a certain way in order to do it properly. And the best hardware to do it are GPUs, because GPUs already are good at processing a lot of matrix calculations really fast with graphics. Like especially with 3D graphics, 3D graphics require a lot of matrix calculations in order to render quickly and effectively. And like these cloud providers, because they also, a lot of them have AI, like I don't know how to say it, like the framework to build AI models with, and that's where they have the GPUs and other GPU like hardware to run those models. So and that's where also I think a lot of these cloud companies are able to build their control over it, because they are controlling the hardware of these AI models. I don't know, like I think OpenAI, which is the company that is controlling ChatGPT, I think they have their own cloud setup, cloud and AI setup, so they don't have to answer to Microsoft or Amazon. They might. I need to look into it a little bit more, but I think they have it on their own. Because I guess a lot of people have been using ChatGPT and I guess the GPT algorithm in general, because GPT is the name of the processing algorithm to do language or large language models and language processing. That's been around for quite a while, actually. Because do you remember the "Does Bruno Mars is gay" article?
God, a classic.
What?
I didn't remember it was an article. I just knew that was a meme.
It was a meme, but it was an article first. So it was one of the first viral AI generated articles, and this was back in good lord, this was early 2010s, I want to say.
I was gonna say this had to be 2014.
I think 2013, 2014, around that time. It was an article that started, "The rumor come out, does Bruno Mars is gay."
I can't believe you never heard of this.
You never heard of this.
You're the chronically online one.
Don't find it. We'll talk about that in the post pod. What the fuck are we doing? We gotta keep chugging along, man.
Okay. So basically that was a result of one of the earliest. I think that was GPT-1. That was the first generation of the large language model processing.
Yeah.
And because it processed a lot of data, but it still wasn't enough to emulate human speech or the way that we write things. So
grammar.
It couldn't. It had bits of grammar. They were look, if you isolated this part, technically that's correct, but compared to everything else, no, it is not correct. And that was one of the first AI generated articles. And as it progressed, it got better. There was a time, I think it was 2018, I was reading about somebody using GPT-2 to write one of those, those LinkedIn blogs about motivate, those motivational things for
LinkedIn
corporations.
Is a no word on this podcast.
I don't think it was actually on LinkedIn, but it had the vibe of a LinkedIn thing.
It's how do I get better at being an entrepreneur?
Yes, exactly. And the guy had run this blog for about a year. He used the entire thing was done by GPT-2. And it I read the bits that of the blog, and I was like, this makes no sense. But people were engaging with the content. I saw a lot of comments.
God.
They were like, dude, this has helped me so much. And I was like, what the fuck?
How did you get anything from this?
This was not supposed to pass the Turing test. This was not supposed to do that.
Absolutely.
It did. And the guy came out after a year, he was like, sorry guys, this entire thing was AI generated. I thought it was going to be a fun thing just to make fun of, but you all took it so seriously.
But now it's my business.
Yeah.
Buy my course.
Yeah, exactly. And then now you have GPT-3, which is
called How Did I Get Here?
Yeah.
And it's 30 fucking pages that just say you.
You. In different languages.
One for each language.
Yes,
the AI
exactly.
Was trained
yes.
on.
It was English Cockney, English Southern U.S.,
The
English
letter U.
Scottish, English Leet speak.
Ooh.
Stop.
Okay. What? Keep going with your point.
Yeah. So now we're at GPT-3, which is what ChatGPT is built on, and that has become pretty solid as far as a language learning model, to where you can feasibly convince somebody that this is a human. You can feasibly get there. The problem is, I think now people are starting to use it like a search engine, which is not what it is. It'll spit out something that sounds reasonably correct, but it doesn't. The AI can't tell you factual information. It'll just approximate something.
When people were trying to find fucking answers to court cases and what the results were to base a legal argument using ChatGPT, that was the fucking wildest article.
That was wild. That was the one thing I didn't quite expect, because I felt like at least the legal system, I was like, there's a lot of liability with it.
No.
That you can't really use. Okay, no, I'm getting some no's from the audience. No, okay, fair. I don't know much about the
audience
legal
of
system.
the one person who worked in a law firm.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Oh wait, you did?
Yeah, I was comp sci pre-law
okay.
in college.
Oh, so you're mega sad.
Because I wanted to go into this is the craziest shit. I wanted to go into patent law.
honestly, those fuckers make
the turn
bank.
the turn that I have made for myself within the
slow radicalization.
within like the almost 10 years since I've been out of college has been insane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like you see people using ChatGPT on standardized tests. To generate answers on standardized tests because like that's what an AI should be able to do.
Yeah.
It is to figure out the patterns of a question and pump out like a reasonable answer.
Yeah.
Because like that's how fucking machines work.
That's how we work. Like
yeah.
For the most part, like the way that AI has been developed in its like infancy has always been, okay, how do humans learn and how can we model that with computers and like with like processors?
Yeah,
and
that's
all
fair.
That. So basically most AI models are most if not all of them are based on how we as humans perceive information, how we learn things. Like the big thing is there's two different types of machine learning models. There's supervised and unsupervised. Supervised is where you're feeding it labeled data. And I think that's sort of like the big thing with data, like owning data, because you can you can get all this demographic information about a person and then label that as good for a loan, bad for a loan, something like that.
Right.
And that's what a lot of historical data is. Historical data is labeled. It is supervised, and those things are what's fed into some of these models. And that's something that I'm always a little
if it's
concerned
on the historical data of like people who like said good for a loan, bad for a loan, based on things that had nothing to do with the economic situation of the individual.
Yeah.
It's still trained on that same data that was collected in the wrong way.
Yeah. No, that's a huge issue with supervised data.
We will say human bias.
Oh yeah,
to
that's
put it,
huge, it's
as nicely as we can.
No, you can just say racism.
Yeah, I was about to. You killed it, Ralph. God damn it! I had to be a both sider. Eric wasn't gonna do it.
Not on this conversation, my friend.
Yeah, and then on the other side, you have unsupervised learning, which is they don't have the labels and they just group data based on things, which again can be a racism.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
let's have an AI do something with crime statistics, my friends.
I fully believe that it might already be happening.
Oh, I'm sure,
dude. I'm pretty sure
with the amount of money that we pump into defense spending.
Yes, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
No, absolutely.
Like, come on. You know that's happening,
dude. No, it absolutely is,
dude. I haven't seen it, but like, are we gonna live in like Psycho-Pass? Because man, that'd be so dope.
I mean, like we're walking towards like basically Dread.
Oh, we're
Captain
hitting
Falcon looking motherfucker.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it. Dude, no, I'm sorry. When I saw those trailers, I was like, Captain Falcon's getting a movie? That was
a remake.
Yeah,
that's what I learned too.
With Carl Urban, right?
I don't remember who was in it. We're kind of scabbing right now. Let's keep moving on with the fucking
sorry, forgot about
beep. It's all getting beeped.
Let's keep moving on here.
Okay. So like supervised or unsupervised learning. Those are like the two main things, and a lot of these large language models use both, because sometimes you can label like an article as like, okay, this is about like with tags, how like you can tag something and it's like, okay, this is about financial stuff, or like it's about this. You can tag it that, but sometimes in order to properly process language, that has to be like unsupervised. You have to be able to string words together that kind of just make sense, but aren't specifically labeled. Because how can you label like articles like the and a,
or like just random made up words that Zoomers and millennials have come up with?
How are you gonna label Zaddy?
That wasn't even gonna make it into the final cut, but now it is.
Yeah. Good Lord.
We had to have him say it.
We really did.
Yeah.
We did, huh?
But I still don't know what it means, but continue.
Yeah, because there's a lot of words that, because language is like ever evolving, and like you need to like, and part of it is you need to be able to train the models on as much data as possible. And sometimes you're gonna give it like, some of these weird, things that people say. And especially if you're on the internet and like, you have these like the internet words or like,
or just like forum talk.
Yeah, like
very,
forum
very
talk,
niche
yeah.
forum talks where like there's so many words being used in like non-correct, like incorrect ways, basically.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to fucking see an article where like an AI describes the president as like a pog champ. That'd be amazing.
Just go on Twitch. What are you doing?
No, there's probably some AI generated content about Biden himself describing himself as PogChamp.
Yeah.
No, that's not AI. He just
said it?
No, his brain's just that far gone. He like
It was on
walked
the
up-
prompter. I just said the thing.
He walked up
Joe,
like some fucking like little shit zoomer that's working in his campaign is just like, this is a pog champ.
Joe.
Corn pops.
Joe. Oh god.
Let me be clear. Joe is my little PogChamp.
Oh god.
Oh man.
Joe, this was a piece about POWs. How the fuck did you get
John McCain definitely not pog champ.
No, he's PowChamp.
Ugh. Ugh. Monka S.
Oh my gosh. Do you think this podcast is going to be used to create AI generated content of us saying
I'm
just
sure.
about anything?
No. Like,
Yeah,
like
dude,
this
that's
is the
what
thing.
makes the fucking the acting thing of it so fucking horrifying.
So
Yeah,
this has
yeah.
been my I guess like how I've been I guess like rationalizing my consumption of AI content.
Mhm.
It's like
Yeah.
if it's used to make like old shitty white dudes saying shit like ski goddamn, I'm fine with it. Like that's dope. Like that is what we should be prioritizing with
yeah.
AI generated content as well as just AI AI learning.
Dude, you know what else they started doing too? Just to like go back to not even like the actors side of everything. This is like going back to art, like they're using AI to try to like edit Akira to like fit vertical video, and it just like automatically adds what would fill out the top
AI
and bottom.
upscaling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
That sort of thing.
That use of AI, I think, is more beneficial for archiving than anything else.
I agree. I think I agree with
It's
that.
like,
yeah.
like I'm a huge purist when it comes to movies and all of these things, and
Yeah,
And we can talk about that one because that's not the studios being struck against.
But I'm a huge film purist. I believe that if you are going to produce a movie, like a feature-length film that is being shot in theater, that it should still be shot on film. Making everything digital is just boring. And the use of AI to do that kind of stuff, like restorative stuff, or just upscaling to fit modern technology, it really does help archiving so that future generations are able to see movies. Because a lot of those old film reels are deteriorating at a rate where it's impossible for you to physically save those film reels.
Dude, you see like just all the fucking like Dragon Ball DVDs that have released over time, none of them. Like because storing all that shit on film and all the cells and everything have just from one DVD release to the next, like the colors are fucked. Everything just deteriorates so fast. Like I can see it for that reason, and like what everyone says, like using it as a tool. Like you've done plenty of like client work, and I'm sure you've had more than a handful of people like, oh no, just do what you feel like. Or just fill it out. Like if they had a way to like come up with something on their own, like come up with a certain idea. It's like what they expect everyone that's like a graphic designer to do, where it's like use it to find a concept and then hire a graphic designer to make it more personal or like more like give it some specifics that you only trust a person with actually doing and tweaking and whatever.
Right.
Using it as that like initial tool to like figure out what it is they want to hire someone to actually give them the thing they want.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this may be a bit of human hubris coming in, but I just don't think that an AI is ever going to get to a point where they are going to be able to outdo a human in anything artistic, because so much of art is about human expression.
And that's, I think, the issue with with AI specifically, it's like, yeah, I agree with you. It's never going to be able to match up to a human. The problem is I think
the amount of
companies,
people and companies who are going to say
companies who are going to
enough.
say that's good. Yeah, exactly. They're going to say that's good enough.
I think it's just a matter of like what we as consumers are willing to accept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what it comes down to. Like if our standards fall to a level where we are okay with AI generated everything, then of course. But to a certain
that is fair.
but like the entire point of art is human expression.
Yeah.
You can't get a machine that learns from other humans to have their own form of an expression
Yeah.
Right.
of like a piece.
Yeah. And if that does happen, then the AI is sentient, it is sapient, and then we have an entirely different problem on our hands.
At that point, like now we are talking about like human rights violations.
This is like
That's actually like fucking doomsday Armageddon. You have
that's
to pull
the
the
singularity.
plug. Yeah.
That's the singularity.
Yeah.
Is if we get AI to a point of like true sapience and true sentience, then it's gonna be something that is going to irrevocably change the way we look at human rights.
What is sapience? I've never heard that term.
Sapience is like
if we make computer return to monkey. That's
honestly,
what it sounds
like. Honestly, that is probably what we should be doing. Technology is growing at a rate that society cannot adapt to. Like, like at this point in time, while we have so many comforts that are offered to us by technology, this podcast literally being a representation of that. Legislation and just human thought is incapable of using technology in ways that are beneficial. It has done so much damage to how we view social interactions with each other. To a point now where everybody is just exhibiting like crazy antisocial behavior because you're just mimicking what you see on the internet with that kind of technology. Technology should just return to monkey. Yeah. Like just fucking give me Pong. I'm fine with that.
That's fair. Going I guess a little further than that is like if humanity ends up going the direction of, okay, we're just mimicking what we see. How is that any different from what an AI is doing?
Yeah.
How is it any different from monkey?
Well, like this is the I think Jesse said this when we were talking on the phone a couple days ago, but it's like we have used AI to generate so much shit that humans would do that now we as humans are doing what AIs would do. Like with the NPC streams and shit on TikTok.
Oh yeah.
Oh dude.
That's just fucking wild.
No, it's like we laughed about it. We definitely laughed about it. But at the same time, I'm like, that's probably the fucking smartest thing Jesse has said this year.
No, it was literally like we made AI a form of entertainment that everyone decided to go and mock. And like seeing that is just, I don't know. It's not the uncanny valley anymore, but it's fucked.
It makes the hair on the back of your neck stand up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I know that the discourse about it online has been very like, look at these people just like, debasing themselves for like internet content. But at the same time, I'm like, guys, this is fucked. Like this isn't even funny. Like this is actually so it's so bad.
It is
not in terms of content being bad. It's just like this is what we're being reduced to because of our access to technology.
And it's the thing that comes with it too, to bring it back to like tanky shit, is just like it's because someone found a way to like just make a bunch of money on it. And everyone's just like, oh, this is what we're supposed to do now to like make money, because the whole point of everything in life is just the money thing. So like number go up, me do for big
they're all
signs.
just playing cookie clicker.
Oh God. The fucking flashback. Oh my God. I forgot that existed. Like people, it's getting to a point where just generally speaking, this isn't even about AI anymore. People only careers, hobbies, anything. It's just like
it's about.
You get money with it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. You do this thing.
Okay. So, I think I've talked about yo-yoing on this podcast before. Background information for people that may be listening to this that don't know anything about competitive yo-yoing at all, but I have been in the yo-yoing scene for 20 years at this point. I have been there for almost every single stage of development inside of the competitive yo-yoing scene. And to kind of piggyback off of your point of like big number go up, people don't think about yo-yoing the way that I think about yo-yoing and the way that people from my generation think about yo-yoing, which it's a form of artistic expression. The tricks that you do, the way that you do them, it's supposed to be uniquely you. There's like people may be able to copy the trick element for element, but no one should be able to do them the way that you can.
Yeah.
Like, but now when I hear the people that are currently competing and the newer kids, they only think about the point value of every single trick when being performed on stage.
So how did
they min-maxed it?
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
yikes.
The rules inherently changed, and then there was an era of competitive yo-yoing where artistic expression was taken into account. Like you were scored on originality, you were scored on cleanliness of execution and all of this stuff. But now, like those categories don't mean anything. The tricks that the people are doing now, like it's so hollow. It just feels like AI generated content.
Yeah.
Like no one. The thing with yo-yoing from my era and even going as recently as like 2018, there were still memorable performances.
Yeah.
Like even if that person didn't win the contest, they could still have the most memorable performance of that contest.
Yeah. The Aaron Gordon effect.
Yikes.
No, it's the,
Yikes.
Honestly, that is the whole time you were talking about it. I only kept thinking about the 2016 dunk contest. I'm sorry.
But it gets to but now even the people that are winning, their routines aren't memorable because the guy in second place did the same tricks. He just didn't hit them as clean as the guy in first place.
Yeah.
And the people that want to go on stage and want to do original tricks just aren't being rewarded for it. So then you're creating this generation of yo-yoers that have min-maxed yo-yoing to a point of like absurdity, where yo-yoing already doesn't mean anything. Like it's such a niche hobby.
Yeah.
With like no real rewards for you to win worlds or win any of these contests. The only reason now would be for pride of like saying, oh, I did the same 30 tricks that the third place guy did, but just, cleaner.
right.
But back then, even if you didn't win the contest, even if all you did was go up on stage and did
Yo-yo
tricks,
to Holy Grail.
but you went up on stage and you yo-yoed in a way that was uniquely you were still rewarded for it. Not in the sense of, oh, I got first place, but like the members within the community and the people that are surrounding you, they will forever remember that performance
And carry you
that.
off stage.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's something that I didn't really experience because I'm not there and I don't know what I'm helping with really when I helped you with all those videos. But like from what you told me, like the people in the community, when you did your routines to jazz and it was all just like a complete like this is just me doing a routine that I like put a lot of thought into and care and just tricks I came up with or tricks I made and just wanted to put into a sequence that
made sense,
but like also tried to like convey something like this is like the your love of the art sort of routine thing. Like people who understood what it was they were watching still got that from those performances, and that was like I remember you saying like that was like huge because like that's all you wanted to do with it. Like that was the purpose of it being made in the first place, and the people who gave a shit and like are in yo-yoing got that from those performances.
Yeah. It's like I don't know how we got here, but
Yeah, no, I was trying to think like the whole time I was like, how the hell did we get here?
yeah, like I don't really know how we got here, but at the end of the day, I think it's so part of it is I mean, like the entire point of this episode was to talk about like the non-regulation of data collection and AI models. But I guess like to relate it back to the yo-yoing thing, it's just society's obsession with data has really destroyed a lot of things. It's I guess destroyed is way too strong of a word, and I kind of just sound like a grandpa screaming at kids on his lawn. But it's really disheartening to see that the obsession with data is slowly seeping its way into even more niche, communities.
Yeah. And I think going back to the whole, like, us becoming more like a machine. I think, like, I know a lot of people talk about like the next step in human evolution, and I this is a horrifying thought, but I did talk to somebody about this, of like, if it's possible to hook up somebody's brain to
like
processors, to processors, and increase somebody's like processing power, like just.
Oh God!
Yeah, so you can get this, like you can go beyond what the limits of the brain
like,
can be.
Oh shit, my brain's 64 cores.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I'm running on a Threadripper right now. That's fucked.
We already
I can
have
now think as fast as someone without the tism.
So I think to some degree, if that is a technology that can be used to, solve Alzheimer's or something like that, I think that would be like a valiant cause.
It's what they would say.
But the thing is,
it's what they would say the
that's
funding's
not
for.
what's happening.
No.
It's what they say the funding is for, and then as soon as that's done,
as soon as it's
else.
pushed to production, it is going to be swallowed up by all the rich folk to be like, okay, I can now enhance my brain power.
Yeah,
and I
it's
can
like
make more money.
Now I can like stay up and impregnate more women because I need to spread my seed.
Yes.
Shout outs to literally every single rich fuck out there.
Or I can work 24/7 and make everyone else feel bad
literally
that they're not.
and literally not suffer literal
exactly.
brain rot.
Yeah, exactly. Like from here, there's all this talk about like, what is the next step? Like what is going to happen next? And it always seems to be like, okay, here's how it's going to help people. And here's how it's going to, and that's always the discussion about it. And that's always like the exciting part of the discussion. Because I think that was happening like when AI was first being like,
when it was, does Bruno Mars is gay?
Yeah, exactly. When it was, does Bruno Mars is gay? It was more of like, okay, we can use this to make better decisions. We can increase productivity. We can make healthcare better. We can make giving people what they need in terms of like social services better. And it turns out you can do that. But that's not what it's going to be used for. It is going to be used for money-making ventures first and foremost. Those things are going to come later, and only if there's money to be made in them. And further from that, and that's sort of, I guess, like the distraction of technology is, if you keep stakeholders and the public focused on, the next big thing, the next big like technological advancement, you can keep people excited about that and not see what the terrible things are happening with the current technologies. And then when people are excited about that, like, oh, this will change the way we think of healthcare. This will change the way we think of interacting with each other. This will change the way we are able to, provide food and water and shelter to people. Like great, can be used for all that, but is it though? Are we in a position in our society to actually be implementing those features when we can barely do that with the current technology that we have? And that can adequately do it. It can do it, but we just don't have the priority to do it.
Yeah. So, like always, before we head out of this episode, shout outs to Dove Cameron. I kind of got to skedaddle and get out of here because I got a Neuralink appointment. So I'm going to need to get myself out of this one.